Let's go ahead and get the meeting started. Before we begin, there's a box of masks behind Dave Valley there. If anybody feels like they need one, we're kind of course, close quarters. So feel free to grab one if anybody wants one. I think Becky put some on the desks also. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I'll do roll call.
Allen. Allen. Valley.
Present.
Considine.
Present.
Barster.
Present.
Gibbler.
Present.
Horstman.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Humphrey.
Here.
Kitson.
Present.
Copain. McLean. Minimi.
Here.
Nicholson. Nicholson.
Here.
Norberg.
Here.
Palin.
Here.
Sheline.
Here.
Shippert.
Here.
Scrogstad.
Here.
Wentley.
Here.
White. Here. Williams.
Present.
Wilson. Wilson. Zeman. Zeman. Olson.
Present. Thank you. First off, we'll everybody get a chance to look at the minutes. They're not in our packet, but they were emailed to all the board members. Is there any corrections or changes like to see done?
No.
If none, we'll let them stand as read then. And we'll move down to the resolution. We have two Joseph Meyer resolutions, cancellation of certificates. I'd look for a motion to approve them. Tom Kitson, Chris Norberg seconds it. Any discussion? Do you want to explain to us, Nancy, what them are?
Okay, those are two resolutions that came from Thomas E. Meyer, the tax buyer for Lee County, and their cancellation of certificates. And the two certificate numbers are listed there along with the parcel identification numbers.
Thank you. Any questions? If none, we'll do a roll call vote by statute.
White. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Valley.
Yes.
Considine.
Yes.
Barster.
Yes.
Gibbler.
Yes.
Horstman.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Humphrey.
Yes.
Kitson.
Yes.
Copain.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Minimi.
Yes.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Norberg.
Yes.
Palin.
Yes.
Sheline.
Yes.
Shippert.
Yes.
Scrogstad.
Yes.
Wentley.
Yes.
And Olson.
Yes. All right. Motion
I'm
passed.
sorry, Bob. Wilson.
Mute, maybe.
Back to him, Rick. Let's move on.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Zeman's here now.
Also, Mike Zeman's here.
Wilson.
He has himself muted, I believe.
Here.
So Wilson, we're asking for a vote on the resolution for the two Joseph Meyer resolutions. That would be a yes or a no, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Zeman,
Yes.
Thank you. Carried. Now we've got to the zoning board, we got 10 petitions, A through J. Chris Norbert,
I make a motion that we take all these at once to the zoning board.
motion is to vote on all 10 at once, A through J. Tom Kitson seconds it. Any discussion about that? If none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So now I take Chris Norbert,
I'll make a motion to send them all to the ZBA.
do I have a second? Katie White seconds it. Any discussion? There's 10 of them there. Everybody's got them in their packet. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carried. To the planning commission, we have no petitions. From the zoning board, we're going to take these individually. A, petition 21-P-1564, petitioner John Thanos, parcel number 11-16-09-100-019 in Lee Center Township. The petitioner is requesting a special use for the purposes of utilizing his property as a private club. Do I have a motion? Katie White moves. Do I have a second? Chris Norberg seconds. Any discussion on this? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just note that the ZBA specifically found that the proposed use, this proposed special use, would be in conflict with the county's comprehensive plan, which is sufficient to vote against it and to uphold the ZBA's recommendation.
I think they were unanimous against it. It's in the packet on the back. Any other questions, comments?
Bob,
Yes.
did he commit to get a liquor license? That was very unclear from the minutes.
They applied for liquor license, but they've got to go through zoning and everything before they get the liquor license.
So would we, okay. I was,
Okay? Any other discussion? I think we'll do this in a roll call vote.
Williams. Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
No.
Valley,
No.
Considine,
Yes.
Barster,
Yes.
Gibbler,
No.
Horseman,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Point of reference. I'm sorry.
For it?
The motion was for it, and I don't know if everybody understands that.
No.
Yeah, I don't think, yes, I should have been clear. Let's back up. Can we back up and redo this? The motion is to approve the petition from the petitioner for the proposed parcel number.
Take the vote again, please.
Yes. Start over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry.
okay, Williams,
Kelly, what's your vote?
Oh, voting again?
Yes.
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
No.
Valley,
No.
Considine,
Yes.
Barster,
Yes.
Gibbler,
No.
Horseman,
No.
Hudson,
No.
Humphrey,
No.
Kitson,
No.
Copain,
No.
McLean,
No.
Minimi,
No.
Nicholson,
No.
Norberg,
No.
Palin,
No.
Sheline,
No.
Shippert,
No,
Scrogstad,
No.
Wentley,
No.
White. No. Olson.
No.
Okay, 18 no, 5 yes.
Petition denied then. Thank you. Let's go to B, petition 21-P-1565. It's Lee County zoning officer. Petitioner is requesting a text amendment to the solar energy system ordinance. Chris Norberg, motion to. That's our solar ordinance, right? Okay, I think Tom Kitson, do you want to make a motion on this?
Yes, I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I make a motion that we hold over this resolution with the two following changes, which I believe everybody has a copy of on their desk. Proposed amendment changes are the definition of applicant should be changed so that it states applicant upon the submission of a petition for a special use permit for the purpose of solar energy system. Any person, firm, or partnership, association, corporation, company, or organization of any kind proposed to obtain site location approval and permits for a solar energy system in unincorporated Lee County and includes the proposed owner and or operator of the solar energy system, SES, with any other party with an interest in the SES. The second change or second addition, a section addressing project repowering should be added and shall state the owner or applicant of the solar energy system, SES, may repower the existing SES to incorporate advances in SES technology, including but not limited to solar panels, inverters, and balance of system components. Repowering is permitted so long as the project adheres to all conditions of the special use permit as previously imposed. Repowering shall not substantially or fundamentally change the site footprint or makeup of the project or the point of interconnection. As such, any repower efforts taken by the owner applicant shall be governed by the ordinance in effect at the time the project was permitted for its special use permit. Any material change to a project must be granted through the special use permit process outlined in the Lee County Code and should be governed by the current ordinance.
Do I have a second to that? Liam, seconds it? All right, any discussion? I just want to be clear, this is from the zoning board, B, but it's also an old business, A. It's the regulate and development of the solar energy system. This was held over in April. Tom's requesting to hold it over again for another month with the two changes, amendments to it. So any discussion? John? Nope. Mike?
Mr. Chair, I'm curious if there's any language written anyplace else in our ordinance. I haven't had a chance to sit down and go through all of it, but shouldn't there be some type of requirement to again come back to the zoning board of appeals for recommissioning or repowering or whatever? Because we've got solar and everything in here too, so.
On the solar, that's what Tom just did, number 2. We don't have it currently and the one that's held over. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Rick?
Oh, for clarification, I guess I'm confused. Why did this have to go for a public hearing of our solar ordinance? And now they've had that, my understanding. Now we're making changes. Does it have to go through a public hearing again?
We can add an amendment to it here, the way I understand it. But it had to go through the hearing to get here. We did it wrong. Originally, it had to have a hearing through the planning commission or through the ZBA.
Or all of our solar ordinances to date were not.
The first one was done right. The other ones were not done correctly. So that brings us here today. And with these two changes, I think we need to hold it over another 30 days and then vote on it next month. Any more questions? I think we should do a roll call on this. Oh, I got a question from Marilyn. Thanks.
Yes, we've got Duke that has already applied, and I was I had the understanding that they were going to meet the requirements in this proposed ordinance. Now we're changing it. Are they still going to be obligated to meet this?
I haven't talked to Duke with these changes, but I don't want Duke control our solar ordinance, so I think we need to move forward. If they don't adhere to these two, I would understand it at that point, but I think we need to do this and clean it up as we go.
We could always put these conditions in the special use permit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? All right. Nancy?
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
Yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Considine,
Yes.
Barster,
Yes.
Gibler,
Yes.
Horstman,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Minimi,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Norberg,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes,
Scrogstad,
Yes.
Wentley,
Yes.
White. Yes. Williams, Olson.
Yes. Motion passes. I want to thank the committee and everybody that worked on it. I know they had 7 or 8 meetings, and I know it was contentious this time, but I want to thank everybody and for the involvement on that. So let's move down to Planning Commission, the text amendment, the wind ordinance. The same thing we're doing here is we're sending this to the Planning Commission, so they would have a public hearing. There's some things we need to clean up on our wind ordinance. John?
Motion to do that.
John makes a motion to pass. Do I have a second? Casey
I'll
Costa
second it.
seconds it.
Bill Palin?
Got a question?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought it was a second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Bill. Any discussion? No discussion? I guess we'll pass this by voice vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we go to board member comments. Dave Valley.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've had several issues. In the last month, we voted down a storage building because of city planning or so that overrides our county planning. We also had one a while back in a township planning. They have a theory about how they want their township, and then, but we go ahead and then we send these to the ZBA. If we need a plan to decide whether we are gonna follow these special planning projects or whether, at what point do they become an issue? Many times, if it's a little city or a township, you got 6 to a dozen people making a plan that we are following over the board for the county issues. And I think we just need a better plan or a better process or something to bring these through and not send them to ZBA until if we're going to automatically throw them out. So I don't know the answer. I just think we need to work on something.
I would agree. We need to come up with something, and I think we'll work on something with the zoning board. Any other comments from board members? All right. Move down to public visitors. We have Bonnie Thanos. Bonnie, would you like to get up to the podium there and talk? Okay. We have no visitors allowed on the agenda for 5 minutes. Let's go down to reports of committees. Finance, Mr. Wintley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met last Thursday at 9 o'clock. Minutes of what we covered are in the packet. One item later on tonight, we're going to be asking for a recommendation from the board for approval of the low proposal submitted by Lauterbach and Amon LLP for our auditing services for the next 3 years. Other than that, I have no other comments. Any questions?
Questions? for Finance Chair? Thank you, Jim. Transportation Solid Waste, Mr. Sheeline.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your report is in your packet, and you can see that we did move the claims, and so I'd make that motion to accept the claims.
Got a second on the claims for transportation? Jim Wentley seconds that. All those in favor for claims for transportation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Report just kind of details the projects that David's and the department is working on. So far, they're work done with about $1 million work out of the projected $4 million total. On solid waste, we just had one major item that for the last several years, I don't know when it began, but it's been quite a few years. There's been a envirothon that's been held with the different school districts, and it's had and there's been a scholarship attached to that over the years, and the kids that participate in it, if they win, they get qualified for a college scholarship. There's been some problems in how that thing's administered, and it's caused a little bit of a burden where they have to chase kids down. Kids don't remember that they qualified for the scholarship, and so the committee just determined that that this time we're going to fulfill the obligations of the scholarship winners that's out there, but we've recommended not to continue the scholarship program, and but maybe sometime we're open to talking about a possible scholarship coming out of solid waste in the future. But just want to point that out and explain that. So if there's any questions on that or the rest of the report.
Thank you. Mr. Sheeline, any questions for him? All right, we'll move down to properties, planning and zoning. Mr. Nicholson.
Yep, good evening, everyone. Met last Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Minutes are in your packet. Pardon me. If anybody has any questions on those, I will answer them. But one of the things I wanted to bring out is, as all of you are aware, we're starting in on the masonry restoration and repairs on this old courthouse. We had our pre-construction meeting back on the 2nd. There was some mock-ups done on the front northeast corner of the courthouse, and Mr. Saunders and I looked those over quite closely and watched them as they went on for 3 days, basically. There was limestone cleaning, and maybe I'll bore you with what I'm going to tell you, but we picked the one that we thought would do the best job. There was just one straight water, one was second, and then the real good one actually took off a little more than we wanted it to. So the second one looks good. They ground out and duct pointed to get a color profile for the mortar. They utilized some of the window sealant to see how it would work. Some of the limestone deduction color profile, and then they put in new clean mortar. And we were there yesterday for probably an hour, Mr. Saunders and I, and we basically approved everything they did. It looks really nice. I think you'd be real pleased with the way the rock turned out. It actually came across in many places with like a marbling effect, but we're going to proceed. So if somebody wants to stop in and take a look at it, they will be doing work from, not from scaffolding, but from lifts. I will start probably as soon as we give them the go ahead, and that's done. If anybody has any other questions regarding the properties meeting, I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions for John? Thanks, John. Administrative Services, Chris Norbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Surprisingly, I'm actually going to talk about a fair amount of stuff. So Paula's office has sent out the tax bills, so everybody get your bills paid. So we got more money in the county. Wendy, we talked about the AIM onboarding, and we used it to post a couple jobs. It's been an excellent platform for us. It posted 22 different hiring platforms. The cost savings, if all department heads use it, will be substantial, not tens of thousands of dollars, but a couple $1,000s. And we think the candidate pool is going to be greatly increased. So encourage your department heads to use the AIM platform for posting any jobs. We're seeing COVID numbers reduced amongst the county board employees, or not county board, the county employees. So that's a good thing as we see it across the region. New business, we are looking at updating the claims process for moving forward. They kind of stem together with the reduction of county board from 24 down to 20. So Ad Service is going to demo a proposal of $2,500 and below is going to be looked at by the administrator. It will still be approved, much like we do paid in vacation and executive. But it's something that we're trying to think outside of the box and trying to shorten our meetings so we're not spending an hour just on claims and we can actually get the meat and potatoes of business that we're doing. And so then the other part to it is as we look at 24 board members, we're looking at combining committees potentially. So if you've got any ideas there, please reach out to us. It's not set in stone by any means, but it's something that we're going to begin discussing. So that concludes my report.
Any questions for Chris? Thank you, Chris. Public Safety, Mike Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Safety met June 9th, relatively short meeting. We approved the previous meeting minutes, went over the claims, approved and reviewed the claims and approved those for payment. There were no, under old business, there were no reports or updates on the fines. However, the state attorney's office is doing a pretty good job at recovering there. I think the last report I had was about $10,700 or something in that claim. I'm not sure what the total is, but I can get it for you if you have a question on it. Sheriff commented on some activity going on at the old Eller Wiley building. He's not sure what's going on. He's reaching out to the Dixon City Police and the city of Dixon to find out what may be going on as far as taking down what has already fallen down or cleaning it up. Department heads gave some brief reports. Under old business, the sheriff reported that he had received a consolidated bid from Procom and Engel Electric for the card reader system at the old courthouse. The bid was for $18,662, which included hardware, labor, 2 exterior doors, 1 north door and the south door, and an interior door for the room that houses the election equipment and IT servers. He will be submitting the bid to the Finance Committee and the American Rescue Plan Committee to see if that funding is appropriate for that expense. Under new business, Stacy Stewart explained that a garden and some landscaping will be done out and around the flagpole area and some of the area around the courthouse here. The project is in the very beginning stages, but would bring beauty and color to the grounds of the new courts building. I think she also had a plan here that says what they're hoping to do is create a garden that would focus on treatment, wellness, and recovery, and would be reflective of the problem-solving courts that they have. They are working with the University of Illinois Extension Office master gardeners to get plans and ideas for what would grow best in those areas. Amy Johnson explained that the circuit clerk's office had been short-staffed since March, not including COVID absences. One employee that took leave in March has returned. In April, an employee left for a better paying job. In May, another employee left to fill a vacancy in another department within the county. Amy initiated the interview process, which proved to be a very long process. She recently hired 2 replacement hires, which started June 1st and June 7th. Sheriff Simonton reported that the Illinois General Assembly introduced a trailer bill that highlighted several issues with Police Reform Act that was passed in January of 2021. The bill was successful in getting some things amended and delaying the July start dates on many of the issues with the act. Qualified immunity is still on the table on the state and federal level. He will be mailing a written summary of some of those things on the trailer bill to the members of the committee. That's all the business that we had, and we had an adjournment at 10:04 a.m. Any questions? I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Copine?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to ask Mr. Copine and maybe Sheriff Symington for some clarification on the bid for the 3 card readers. I'd like to know or see an outline of how the system is going to be used as far as it's a public building. People need to be accessed to the building. What time will the building be opened? What time will the building be locked down? Who's going to have access at what time? Because I guess I don't understand if we put card readers in there, how the public's going to access it, because the employees are there from 8 till 5, or whatever the hours are. But I'd just like to get some clarification as to how the system's actually going to be utilized before we go looking into spending the money on it.
I apologize, Mr. Wilson. I don't have all the details on that. In basics, they're obviously going to function the same as the building, the new courts building that we have down there as far as access. I'll have to get with the sheriff and give you a call and try to give you some of those explanations as soon as I can get in contact with him.
Thank you very much.
More questions for Mike? I would think of as a public building, it's got to be open from 8 to 4:30 like we normally do, but let's clarify that and get back to him.
Dan, that we need to talk.
John, the question.
And I'll attempt to get your answers for you right now. Sheriff, Mr. Wilson has some questions on the functioning of the card readers for this building and how they're going to function, what all is going to take place. Sorry for putting you on the block. So
oh, that's okay.
Coming in.
Got back from a game. Good evening, everybody. So the plan is for the entry doors to the north and the south of the courthouse to have a card reader on it. And then also the election department requests a card reader for where they hold all the election equipment and the server. So those 3 rooms only, or those 3 doors, I should say. And then all the associated equipment that goes with it.
I think on our
But those
door,
those doors would be open. Those doors would be in the open position for public to get in and out of, or those be
Correct. Correct. Normal business hours, they'll be open for the public just as we're used to now. Yes.
Okay. Oh, so John, I guess my question is, how long before we open the doors to the public are the employees getting there to open the building up? Are we talking a half an hour? I mean,
well, maintenance gets here before 6 a.m.
Okay.
And then I know some people like to start their day a little bit earlier, so I can't answer for the department heads over here, but I've seen them here at 7 o'clock at times, and as late in the evening as 6:30, 7 o'clock at night as well.
Okay.
I think his question.
So we're gonna go ahead.
I think his question might be certain employees. I don't think he understands, or maybe I'm not for sure, but every person could have a unique card reader, which would grant them access in particular times. So the courthouse could be closed at 9 o'clock, but let's say Nancy wants to come in at 9 o'clock at night. She can come in, and it would be read that she entered the building. It'd be logged into the system that Nancy came into the building at this particular time. And if she's got some deputy clerks that want to come in early in the morning, say 6 o'clock, she could set that time period for them. Are those kind of the questions that?
Well, sure. I mean, of course, that's great. I mean, I'd love to see that in writing, because that's the kind of information I'd like to know, that you're doing it for that, as opposed to giving out keys and giving people responsibility to hold keys to the courthouse, because you can still get in with a key. But I understand if you're trying to log people in as they come in, as they leave. I understand. I get that. That's kind of a clarification I'd like to see. That's the kind of clarification I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah, the other part of that is what you mentioned, and Jack also, is the keys for years are out there and they're unaccounted for, unfortunately. So I want to kind of draw that back in, change the door locks eventually as well, so that we can account for all the keys, because I know there's people that probably retired from here years ago that may still have a key to the building. So we want to kind of draw that in as part of the grand security plan for all these buildings.
Any more questions for Mike or the sheriff? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Corbin.
Thank you, Sheriff, for the short notice.
Blackhawk Hills Regional Council, Mr. Nicholson.
Yeah, good evening again. We had our regular board of directors meetings on Monday, May 24th, 6 o'clock. Basically, all was a Zoom meeting. Basically covered the executive director's report, the GIS Easy by Andy Shaw, the approval of partnership planning program, approval of the executive director's signing authority so that they could sign up for various grants. That was it. A lot of discussion on things that were going on in the area. That was it there. The Easy Zone meeting for everybody that's involved with that was on June 2nd, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I wasn't able to attend that due to a conflict with the pre-construction meeting. And then the Black Hawk Hills RC&D had also had their annual meeting on June 7th, and that was basically to approve the budget for the upcoming year. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Nicholson?
A lot of development going on around this area right now.
Thank you, John. We'll go to tourism. Mr. Palin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lee County Tourism met on Wednesday, June 9th. The Voyager magazine on your desks have been distributed to 11 counties, from the east to Lake, Grundy, and Kane counties, and west to and including the Quad Cities. We're also going into digital marketing.
Oh.
That will appear on desktop, mobile searches, and including Facebook. And the display will appear in zip code areas that we choose. We've ordered a new supply of map pads. These are in the form of placemats for restaurants. They're showing a map of Lee County and the attractions in the county. We now have display boxes for our new pocket media fun guides, which have been well received. They are in over 50 locations in Lee County. We now have, well, the brochure on your desk shows some of the activities that have occurred this month, and other activities that are yet to arrive. Our share of the April hotel motel tax receipts was $6,716.12, which is $650 more than the last two Aprils combined. So things are looking a lot better. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Bill, any questions for Bill?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Palin did a wonderful job, but if you notice on the Lee County part of it, we had a very good fundraiser out at the grist mill for the first time in over a year due to the COVID-19. And blues and bluegrass music is going to start tomorrow night in Franklin Grove, third Friday music. There's a first, second, third, and fourth Friday music somewhere in the county, and they're very interesting. They're kickback, and most of them have no fee. So,
Thank you. I'm going to back up to Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition to the report already submitted by Director Dallas, since the May 27th 911 board meeting, additional information she has presented to reported was Motorola Flex Public Safety Projects is in full swing. Administrative law and jail training scheduled for July in the EOC. A lot of building maintenance projects forthcoming in the next year at ETSB. Look to meet with the county in the next few months to discuss options to fix the median wall between ETSB and the county property. And testing for the dispatchers took place on June 15th. They are waiting for the results of the test to create a hiring list. And the next ETSB scheduled meeting is July 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Any questions for him? Thank you. Health Department, Mrs. White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had no meeting this month. It's every other month. And unfortunately, Kathy's mother had passed away, so she doesn't have an update for me. So if you could send your condolences to her, that would be great.
Thank you.
And if I find anything out in the meantime, I'll be sure to share it with you so we can share it with the rest of the board members.
All right. Thank you, Ms. White. Tri-County Opportunities Council, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lee County Council. Lee County Council. Met by Zoom. And you have a copy of my report on you. Everyone should have a copy of my report. Everyone should have a copy of my report on their desk. And I also put on your desk a copy of, one of my copies is the scholarship that we gave to the students in Lee County. And Lee County had 4 people that applied and received the scholarship. I hope that more people will try to next year apply for the scholarships for next year. We have a couple going to the University of Illinois, and we have one going to Iowa. So we should have our next meeting next month by Zoom again. I think they want to stay on Zoom for a while because it's much easier for some of the people to arrive there, not to have to drive. So that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, any questions for Mr. Williams? Thank you, Myron. United Counties Council of Illinois, UCCI, Doug Parster. Mr. Parster.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have a brief report. At the May 24th Zoom meeting was at 1 p.m. Patrick Evans, president of the Illinois Energy Association, addressed the membership on the upcoming energy legislation for approximately 40 minutes. That was the one that just recently this week failed. The Byrons, if they're supposedly going to go back into session and hopefully something happens with them. They thought they had it, it's in the legislature, in the governor's office, thought they had it worked out, but obviously it fell through. Mike McCreary, UCI Executive Director, addressed the membership also upcoming UCCI Eagle River event. He informed all of us that the registration forms, one of the questions will be asked if you've been vaccinated for the COVID-19. The upcoming September 20th through 23rd trip to Washington, D.C. in conjunction with NACO was explained. McCreary reported that up to $3,000 per county would be allocated for lodging, meals, and travel per county. There was not a June meeting, there will not be. A draft of the minutes from the May 24th will be presented by Connie Gombeck for approval at the July membership meeting in Galena. The meeting adjourned at 2:05 p.m. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if possible. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Parster? Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Go down to executive. I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Nicholson. Any discussion on claims? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. I'd also entertain a motion for county office reports, requests for deposit of funds, and orders paid in vacation. Mr. Sheeline made the motion. Mr. Hudson seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go to old business. We already took care of A on the solar systems. So let's go to B, the ordinance. It was held over from May, the revision of the GIS recording fees. I'd entertain a motion. Okay, Mr. Sheeline
I'll second.
seconds it.
Bill
Any
Bailey.
discussion about the GIS recording fees? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go over to new business in A. And A, we've already took care of A and B. So let's go to C. We have the resolution for the Shady Oaks Wind regarding the enforcement of the conditions regarding the financial assurance of decommissioning. We voted on this last month, but nobody had the resolution in their packet, I believe. And we thought you need to see the resolution before we vote on it. So I'd entertain a motion. Mr.
I
Nicholson,
make that motion.
Marilyn seconds it. Any discussion about the decommissioning fees? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe when we discussed this last month, Mr. Boonstra gave an opinion that he thought this alternative form of security would be sufficient.
Yep. We've done it with a couple other ones already, wind farms. So any more discussion? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We have a proposal for the auditing service recommendation. Mr. Wentley, do you want to explain the company we're going with and go from there, and then we'll take a
Yeah.
motion?
The name of the company is Lauterbach and Amen or Amen. They gave us a proposal for 3 years. They were lower than two other accountants. The other two were Sickich and Whipley. And I'd make a motion that we accept their proposal for 3 years down the road.
I got a motion on the floor. I got a second for Mr. Humphrey. Any discussion about the bid from them? If no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Redistricting, election, and census update. I'm going to let Nancy update us on what's going on there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I just have some highlights that I want to cover this evening. Quite a few of you received the emails that come, which are several, so I'm just going to give you some of the highlights. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the release of 2020 census data has been delayed until August 16th, 2021, beyond the June 30th constitutional deadline. The Illinois General Assembly also passed the Senate Bill 825, which contains numerous election-related reforms, changes, amendments of the county's code entitled Reapportionment of the County for Election of County Board, which changes the deadline for the reapportionment to December 31st, changing the date when a chairman must present their reapportionment plan to the full board, and it passed both chambers on 5/31 and has not yet been sent to the governor. Petitions for running for office in specific districts will open January 13th, 2022, with a spring 2022 primary election. So that is moved till June 28th, 2022 for a one-time change. On June 2nd, the General Assembly will need to return to session later this year after the U.S. Census data is released to pass a congressional district map. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Nancy. Any questions? Discussion? Thank you. Let's move on to F, resolution creating an advisory board to assist with the development of the Reagan Mass Transit District, a local mass transit district for Lee and Ogle counties. We're going to move lots to a mass transit district. Mr. Nicholson, do you want to explain your resolution?
Basically, the resolution would involve setting up a committee, joint committee between Lee and Ogle County to establish the guidelines for this mass transit district. Discussed it in the past. Mr. Gates, do you have anything to add to that? It's all in the formative stages. It was written up by Brian Brim and Mr. Boonstra, and also Mike Rock from Ogle County.
I have nothing else to add unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Gates?
I do have one. Did Ogle County pass this yet?
Pardon?
Has Ogle County passed their resolution yet?
I believe they did that Tuesday night.
Thank you.
I believe they did, yes.
Any more questions? If none, let's go ahead and, do we got a first and a second on that?
Got a motion.
Okay, got a motion. Chris seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's go to G, the Business Employment Skills Team, Inc., BEST. Their lease from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. We're just renewing the lease. I think it's $600 a month.
Coming up out of properties, and yes, that's what we're doing, same rent.
Is that a motion?
Everything's the same, just dates have been changed. I'll make the motion to pass.
All right, Mr. Nicholson first, Mr. Hudson seconds that. Any discussion about renewing the lease? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll go down to appointments, and I'll start with A. We have a resolution with Chris Jennison sitting in the back of the room here as Regional Superintendent of Schools. Do I have a motion? Mr. Hudson? I have a second. Mr. Forster seconds it. Any discussion? If none,
I do have something. You've got some big shoes to fill, so good luck.
Bob told me he's a size 12, I'm a size 11. I'll work a little bit harder. Spend more time on the ground.
all right, glad to see you. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. These next four I'd like to take all together. Do I have a motion to take them all together? Ms. White and Ms. Forster seconds it. All those in favor of taking all four of them together signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So now I need a motion to take all four of them together, or vote on all four. Mr. Kitson, do I have a second? Mr. Nicholson, all those in favor?
Hold on. I've got a question. Do the people who are named here need to abstain? Is that a problem, Charlie? Yes. So
We better take a roll call vote then.
Just do 3.
What's that?
Charlie, did you feel I should abstain?
yes, you're part
Yeah,
of the, you're
I'm
part of the,
Oh,
All right. So we got a motion already passed for the four, so we might as well,
you've got enough people here. It's just, we got to abstain.
good
If you're
point though.
if you're named in it.
Good point, Chris. I never seen that. We'll do a roll call vote, and unless you got a problem with that, we can back up and, okay.
Okay, and it's on the, all four of them?
All four of
So
them.
sorry.
Yep. B through
E through E.
B through E.
All the motions.
My name's not on there, but I'm on the American Rescue Plan.
Yes.
I need to abstain as well.
We need to make a clarification on that too. He is on the American Rescue Plan. It doesn't say it in here, so Chris Norberg is on number E, and we should do that separate. I apologize.
Zeman,
yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Considine,
Yes.
Forster,
Yes.
Gibler,
Yes.
Horstman,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copain,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Minimi,
Yes.
Palin,
Yes.
Sheline,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Krogstad,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Olson,
Abstain.
Allen, she muted.
Oh, he's on board.
I apologize.
You should abstain.
Does you abstain? Alan, can you hear me? Humphrey,
Abstain.
Nicholson, Norberg,
Abstain.
Wentley,
Abstain.
White.
Abstain.
Thank you. I don't have an executive session. If anybody wants to move into executive session, we'll move past that. I need a motion for mileage and per diem. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Covine seconds it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. All bills and appropriations allowed by roll call vote. I need a motion. Mr. Kitson, Mr. Copine. And a first and a second, you want to do a roll call vote for that?
Ellen? Ellen? Bailey?
Yes.
Considine?
Yes.
Farster?
Yes.
Gibler?
Yes.
Horstman?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Humphrey?
Yes.
Kitson?
Yes.
Copain?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Nicholson?
Yes.
Norberg?
Yes.
Palin?
yes,
Sheline?
Yes.
Shippert?
Yes.
Krogstad?
Yes.
Wentley?
Yes.
White? Williams?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Zeman?
Yes.
Allen? Allen? Olson?
Yes. Thank you. Need a motion to adjourn? Casey, Kitson, all those in favor of adjourn, signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you for everything tonight.
My name in the minute somewhere.
Thank you.